At a family reunion, my cousin accidentally revealed that I was adopted. I confronted my parents, demanding answers. My mother collapsed, crying, "We were going to tell you someday." My father begged for forgiveness, saying, "You're still our child." Feeling betrayed, I whispered, "I don't know who I am anymore." When I uncovered the truth about my birth parents, my entire identity was shattered. It was a sunny July afternoon in Asheville, North Carolina, when my extended family gathered for our annual reunion. The scent of barbecue filled the air, and laughter echoed across the park. I was 35, married with 2 kids, and had always felt a strong bond with my family. As we posed for the group photo, my cousin Lisa, known for her candidness, blurted out, "It's amazing how well you fit in, considering you're adopted." The world seemed to stop. I looked around, expecting someone to correct her, but all I saw were averted eyes and uncomfortable shuffles. "Adopted?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Lisa's face turned pale. "Oh my God, you didn't know." That evening, I confronted my parents. My mother broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. "We were going to tell you someday," she cried. My father, eyes filled with regret, said, "You're still our child." Nothing changes that. But everything had changed. My identity, my history, my sense of self, all thrown into question. "I don't know who I am anymore," I whispered, leaving the room. Determined to uncover the truth, I began my search. I requested my adoption records and took a DNA test. Weeks later, the results arrived, revealing the names of my birth parents, Sarah and Michael Thompson from Charleston, South Carolina. I reached out, and to my surprise, Sarah responded. We arranged to meet at a local cafe. Sarah was in her late 50s, with kind eyes and a nervous smile. She explained that she was 18 when she had me and that Michael had left shortly after my birth. Unable to provide for me, she made the painful decision to put me up for adoption. "I've thought about you every day," she said, tears streaming down her face. I felt a mix of emotions, anger, sadness, and a strange sense of relief. As we continued to meet, Sarah revealed a shocking truth. Michael was not just a young man who left. He was a married man, and I was the result of an affair. His wife never knew about me. Determined to confront him, I found his address and paid him a visit. He was now a respected businessman with a family. When I introduced myself, his face turned white. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said, slamming the door in my face. Feeling rejected and betrayed, I returned home and decided to share my story on Reddit. The support was overwhelming. Many shared similar experiences, and I realized I wasn't alone. I also decided to seek therapy, which helped me process my emotions and begin healing. Over time, I rebuilt my relationship with my adoptive parents. They had made a mistake, but their love for me was genuine. I also continued to build a relationship with Sarah, who became a part of my life. As for Michael, I decided to let go of the anger. He had made his choices, and I had made mine. Discovering I was adopted shattered my world, but it also led me on a journey of self-discovery. I learned that family isn't just about blood. It's about love, support, and acceptance. And as I look at the family photo from that reunion, I no longer see a lie. I see the beginning of my truth. Just when I thought things were settling, I got an email. The subject line was blank. The sender was anonymous. The message? Just 5 words. "You don't know everything yet." It shook me. I read it 5 times. My first thought was maybe it was spam, but my gut said otherwise. I replied, asking who they were. A reply came minutes later. "Ask your mother about Joseph." I stared at the screen. My stomach twisted. I had never heard the name. The next day, I asked Sarah about Joseph. Her hands trembled. I was hoping this wouldn't come up. "Who is he?" She sighed deeply. "He's your half-brother. Michael's son from his marriage. You two are only months apart in age." I blinked. "You mean, he was with his wife while he was with you?" Sarah nodded. "It wasn't just that. Michael told his wife about me. When she found out she was pregnant, she insisted they raise their child together, but he didn't want to lose me either." My chest felt tight. "So he had 2 families?" "Yes," she whispered. "For a while, we didn't know about each other. Then one day, things exploded. Sarah told me everything. One night, she got a call. It was Michael's wife. Furious. Screaming. 'You ruined my life,' the woman yelled. 'Your child will never replace mine.' Days later, Sarah's apartment mysteriously caught fire. No one was hurt, but the cause was undetermined. Sarah always believed it was her way of warning her to stay away. She had filed a report, but nothing came of it. Michael disappeared soon after, cutting off contact with both women. I never heard from him again, Sarah said. And I never told you. I was afraid it would hurt you more. That night, another message arrived. Meet me. Saturday, 3 p.m., Battery Park, Charleston. Joseph. I didn't know what to expect, but I went. Battery Park was quiet that afternoon, sunlight cutting through the trees. I spotted him instantly. He looked like me. Same eyes. Same jawline. But his face was cold. Hard. You're him, he said, walking up. You're Joseph. He nodded. I've known about you for years. My heart beat faster. Then why now? He shrugged. I wanted to see the mistake he tried to forget. We sat on a bench. I grew up knowing Dad was a liar, Joseph said. I found letters. Love notes from your mom. Pictures. He said it was nothing, but I knew. Why didn't you tell anyone? I tried. My mom denied it. Said I was making it up. So I stayed quiet. I looked at him carefully. Why message me now? He stared off. Because he's dying. What? Stage 4 lung cancer. He wants to meet you. Apologize. My stomach dropped. I don't need his apology, I said. Joseph looked at me sharply. Neither do I. But he's dragging us both into the grave with his secrets. You think you know everything? You don't. Joseph handed me an old box. I found this in his study. Letters. Photos. One of them is a letter to your adoptive parents. What? He nodded. He knew them. I opened the box later that night. My hands shook as I pulled out each letter. One envelope was addressed to my adoptive father. Inside was a letter written by Michael. Thank you for agreeing to raise my son. I know I'm not the father he needs. Please, never tell him I was part of this. I dropped the letter. My breath caught. My adoptive dad had known Michael. They weren't strangers. They were friends. I confronted my adoptive father the next morning. He sat down slowly, eyes heavy. You weren't supposed to find that, he said softly. You lied. You said you didn't know who my birth father was. He rubbed his temples. Michael was an old college buddy. He came to me desperate. Said he made a mess. He didn't want the child to grow up in that chaos. I paced the room. And you just agreed? Like I was a favor. You were never a favor, he snapped. You were my son the moment I held you. I turned away. Then why lie? Why build my life on a secret? He didn't answer. Everything felt fake. My name. My family. My entire childhood. I stopped talking to everyone. Sarah, my adoptive parents, even Joseph. My wife tried to help, but I pushed her away. I need space, I kept saying. I started drinking more. Sleeping less. Obsessing over old photos, trying to see what I'd missed. One night, I drove to Michael's house. I wanted to scream. To rage. To hurt him like he hurt us. But when I saw him through the window, thin, pale, on oxygen, I just stood there. He didn't look like a villain. He looked like a ghost. Joseph texted me weeks later. He died today. I didn't reply. Hours later, another message came. He left you something. It was a letter. To my son, I was never brave enough to be your father. I ran. I lied. And I left a trail of pain behind me. But I never stopped loving you. Forgive me if you can. Michael. I folded the letter slowly. My hands didn't shake this time. That's the thing. I don't know. Some days, I want to burn every photo, erase every name, and start over. Other days, I want to rebuild, piece by piece. Maybe even try talking to Joseph again. The truth didn't set me free. It broke me. But maybe in the cracks, I'll find something real. I'm not done telling this story. Not yet. A week after Michael's death, I got a call from his lawyer. You're listed in his will, she said. He left something in a safety deposit box under your name. We need you to come in. My heart pounded. I didn't want anything from him. But curiosity clawed harder than pride. The bank was in downtown Charleston. Inside the box was a single brown envelope labeled confidential for my son and a flash drive. Inside the envelope, there were two items, a typed letter and an old photograph. The photo showed my adoptive father, Michael, and a woman I had never seen before. She looked like Sarah, but it wasn't her. I scanned the letter. Before Sarah, there was Elise. You were her son, not Sarah's. We lied to everyone. When Elise died in childbirth, I panicked. I couldn't raise you. I turned to Sarah, who loved me enough to pretend she was your mother. And I made your adoptive parents promise to protect you from the truth. I read it 3 times. My knees buckled. Sarah wasn't even my birth mother. Everything I thought I'd rebuilt had just been crushed again. I confronted Sarah. She cried the moment she saw the photo. Elise was my older sister, she whispered. My head spun. You're not my birth mother? She shook her head. I begged Michael to let me raise you. I couldn't let your mother die in shame. She was only 20. She wasn't supposed to have you. So you let me believe I loved you, she said, gripping my hands. I was your aunt by blood, but I loved you like a mother every second. I wanted to scream, but deep down, part of me still believed her. At home, I plugged in the flash drive. It was full of video recordings, Michael talking to the camera. Confessions. Story after story. Lies he told. People he betrayed. One file was labeled for the day he finds out. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted to understand. I ruined a lot of lives because I was afraid. Afraid of being a father. Afraid of choosing one family over the other. So I chose no one. And that was the biggest mistake of my life. I watched the whole thing in silence. I didn't cry. I just sat there, feeling like a ghost watching someone else's life unravel. I took another DNA test. This time, I searched for Elise's name. Weeks passed. Then it hit. A match. Not only was Elise my mother, but the test also revealed another twist. I had a sister. One I had never met. Her name was Tessa. She was living in Atlanta. I messaged her cautiously. She responded within hours. We met at a coffee shop halfway between our cities. She looked like Elise. More than Sarah ever had. Dark hair, green eyes, high cheekbones. She stared at me like she was seeing a ghost too. You're my brother, she said, voice cracking. I always thought I was an only child. Me too. We sat for hours, sharing stories. Her childhood had been rough, foster homes, then adoption. She never knew Elise. She died shortly after giving birth to me. But Tessa had been born just a year before me. We were both tossed aside in different ways. Later that month, Joseph reached out again. I heard about Elise, he said. That means we're not even half-brothers. No, I replied. We're not. He stared at the ground. But I think I still want to be your brother. If you'll have me. I didn't answer right away. But something inside me softened. I think I'd like that. Cleaning out my adoptive father's attic, I found an old leather-bound notebook. It was a journal, his. The first page read, I never thought raising another man's child would make me feel more like a father than raising my own ever could. Each entry was a love letter to my life. Notes from when I was sick. My first words. My first steps. How he cried at my kindergarten graduation. I wept. The man who lied had also loved me with every fiber of his being. I brought Tessa to meet Sarah. The woman who raised me. The woman who lost a sister. And now, the woman who had to face the daughter her sister never got to raise. They embraced, both sobbing. I think Elise would be proud of you both, I said quietly. We sat in Sarah's living room, going through old photo albums, memories laid out like puzzle pieces. Joseph showed up too, awkward and quiet, but present. And when I introduced him to Tessa, she smiled. You must be the other ghost, she said. He smiled. I guess I am. As I dug deeper into my past, something else began to slip. My marriage. My wife, Melissa, had been patient. But the silence between us stretched longer by the day. You're not here anymore, she finally said. Even when you are. I looked at her. She was right. I had spent months obsessed with secrets, chasing dead people's sins. I'm trying to find out who I am, I said. And what about who we are, she whispered. I had no answer. One night, I saw my daughter crying on the stairs. She was 8. What's wrong, sweetie? I asked. I don't like it when mommy and daddy don't talk. Her words cut deeper than any DNA test ever could. That night, I made a choice. I sat down with Melissa. I've hurt you. I've hurt them. I got lost trying to fix the past. She looked tired. So what now? I stopped running. I burned it down, once and for all. I published everything. Every letter. Every journal. Every confession. I made a website. I didn't use names, but I left clues. Enough that the people involved would know. I told the story of Michael. Of Elise. Of Sarah. Of my adoptive father. I told the truth about what hiding shame really does. I wrote about how love and lies got tangled up. How one man's cowardice infected 4 families. Within days, it blew up. People guessed. Families reached out. Former coworkers of Michael's started sharing shady dealings he was involved in. Turns out, he didn't just lie to his family. He lied at work, too. One of his sons from a 3rd family contacted me. Said he found my story on Reddit. Yes. 3rd. Joseph read everything. He called me. Thank you, he said. You finished what I was too scared to start. Then he dropped the bomb. I sent that first anonymous message. The one about Joseph. What? I was the one who started it all. I wanted you to dig. I wanted him to be ruined. Even after death. You used me. I gave you the truth. You just weren't ready to see how far it went. I was silent for a long time. Thank you. He was a twisted mirror of me. Maybe that's why I understood. Sarah couldn't handle the exposure. She lost friends. The community whispered. Her job at the local school was quietly let go. She showed up at my door in tears. You said you forgave me, she cried. Why did you tell everyone? I stared at her. Because you didn't just lie to me. You raised me inside a fantasy. You could have told me the truth when I was old enough. But you never did. I loved you, she said, voice cracking. I know. That's what made it so hard to see the truth. She left in silence. I haven't heard from her since. Weeks later, I went through my adoptive father's will. There was one last twist. He had left a trust fund. Not for me, but for Michael's daughter from that third family. A little girl named Cassidy. He had known about her too. He had protected another lie. I snapped. I took that money and donated it to a support organization for adopted children searching for the truth. And I added this note. This money was built on lies. Let it help kids who never had a choice. I burned the journals, the letters, the flash drives, all of it. I kept one thing, a photo of me, age 5, on my adoptive dad's shoulders. Not because it was true, but because it was real. Melissa and I separated for 6 months. We went to counseling. We broke down every wall between us. She eventually took me back, not because I fixed everything, but because I finally stopped hiding. Joseph and I still talk sometimes. We joke now. That dark kind of humor only people with broken family trees understand. Tessa became my sister in every way that matters. She even moved to my city. She's the godmother of my youngest now. Sarah never contacted me again. I wrote her one last letter. You loved me. I believe that. But you helped create a lie that buried who I was. I had to dig myself out. And I hope you're doing the same. I never mailed it. I'm the son of a woman who died alone. The nephew of a woman who loved fiercely but lied deeply. The son of a man who ran from everything. The adopted child of a man who betrayed and protected in equal measure. The brother of 2 people who were victims like me. The father of 2 kids I will never lie to. I am not defined by blood, but I will always carry the burn marks of those who bled me dry. They say revenge is a dish best served cold, but I've learned revenge doesn't come from hurting others. It comes from surviving the fire they lit for you and walking out the other side, still standing. Scarred, but standing.